Hello everyone, welcome. In this series of videos we have been working on AZ300 labs that you should do for Microsoft Azure Architect Technologies exam or even for your own knowledge. So these labs, they're available from GitHub under the Microsoft Learning account. In this particular lab we're going to start the lab 300TO2, which is about evaluating and performing server migration to Azure. And this lab has a scenario that Adatum Corporation wants to migrate their existing Azure virtual machines to another region. Okay, so that's migration from one region to another. Okay, so what are the objectives? After completing the lab, you'll be able to implement Azure Site Recovery Vault and migrate Azure VMs between Azure regions. Now they're estimating this lab is going to take 45 minutes. So what we'll try to do, we'll try to break this video in maybe 2 parts, maybe even 3. We'll do the exercise 1, implement prerequisites for migration of Azure VMs by using Azure Site Recovery. So we'll do all of that step, and maybe we'll do the migrate an Azure VM in a separate video. Plus we'll include remove lab resources. This is really just deleting the resource groups. So let's start the labs. Just remember to also watch the next lab if you have any questions. So what are we doing? We are working on the exercise 1, implement prerequisite for migration of Azure VMs by using Azure Site Recovery. Deploy an Azure VM to be migrated. So we're gonna go to Azure portal, and if you have a storage account, you really don't need to do this particular exercise. If you do need to do, and if you don't know how to do it, watch the first video in this series. I have done this. I already have a storage account, so this one is probably not gonna be required for us. And then we're gonna start the lab over here, where we're gonna create a new resource group for this particular lab, and I'm going to deploy this in East US region. So let's go to our Azure environment, and since we're going to use the Azure CLI, let's click here, and this is where if you never access this environment, it will gonna ask, hey, I need a storage account, and then you have to do some configuration again. So we're just this command new is actually this is a PowerShell command, so we gotta use the PowerShell. The bash is not gonna work, so let's go to the PowerShell window and let it spin up, and here we go. Now paste the command. So new AZ resource group is the name of the command. It's gonna create the new resource group, which will be this, and the location is what I'm going to provide, and I'm going to say I need it in the East US. That's my favorite, by the way. If you are following my videos, you probably know it by now. So we got my resource group, and from the Cloud Shell, now we have to upload a couple of files, the Azure deploy.json and the parameters file. So let's do this. We are step 5, so let's go up, go to the main folder, and what I want to do, I want to take the path and save it over here so I don't forget what do I need to upload. And from over here I'm gonna go to all files, then AZ300TO2 and then module 1 and deploy 6. So module 1, and here if you see I have 2 different files. So let's click on the JSON first. So this is the main template file. Again, you should be familiar with the templates anyway. So these are the 2 items that are required. Then you have several parameters for username, metadata, admin password. It's a Windows operating system that will be installing. Looks like it's gonna use by default 2016 data center server core small disk, and allowed you can also use the other types, they're also allowed. This is the general description. It's gonna use a standard D2S v3 uh, and you have a whole bunch of variables for nickname, address, subnet, and that kind of stuff you can look at. And under the resources, it's gonna say what are the resources that will be deployed. So Microsoft Network public IP address, and then you have a whole bunch of configuration for that resource, and then type Microsoft Network Virtual Network. So that's another resource that will be deployed. And here are the some of the options or parameters that you're assigning, where to deploy it, which location, and some properties. And the third resource is the network interface, again the same stuff. And we're also, after that, we're going to deploy the virtual machine, and here are some of the configuration for the virtual machine. And do I have anything else? Yeah, they have a network security group. Here are some options, and kind of you can see over here default allow RDP, so it will configure the RDP port to be open. And that's about it. So we kind of understood what that template is going to do, and I'm going to highly recommend that always look through this template files and at least take a look at it, make sure that you understand what it's trying to do. So I'm going to save that, and you can keep all the parameters in a template file, but a standard practice is to keep the parameters in a different file. So that's the parameters file, is very common, and if you look at it, it's just providing the admin username and the admin password as part of this file. So I'm gonna save this file as well, and let's go back. So we are done with this step. So next, what we really need to do, upload these two files that we have just downloaded. So we come here, and if you're watching the videos that I have done before, it's also should be very familiar to you. So we're gonna upload the JSON first, and here is the notification that it's complete. Again, I'm going to upload the other file, which is the parameter file, and there we go, the parameter JSON is also done. So they should both be available to me at this time. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna go and get into the home directory. So let's paste the command. So that's I guess we were already in our home directory, so that was not really required. And from here, again, remember when we are using the template and creating a virtual machine, AC resource group deployment is the command that you end up using. Okay, and you're gonna here the parameters you're gonna send, you're gonna pass is the resource group name, template file, and template parameter file. Okay, so let's copy that command and come over here and paste, and we should be able to hit enter, and it should start the deployment for us, and it's going to use the template file and the parameter file we just uploaded. Okay, so let's come back to the lab. It says do not wait for the deployment to complete, but instead proceed. So it may take few minutes, and we don't have to wait. We can go to the next phase of the task, which is about implementing an Azure Recovery Service Vault. Now this is very straightforward. So we just need to go and search for this Recovery Service Vault service in our Azure. So if you search for it, you should, Recovery Service is the first item that showed up. So you just click on it, and like any other Azure resources, we can say add, and it will give you a window, and that's about it. That's all you need, and you will configure it the way they're asking it. So we'll provide the name as this. So let's see, what is the name? They're saying create a new group. Let me make sure is that what they wanted. Name is this, resource group. Sorry, resource group should be this, and name is that. So let's come back over here, create new. This is not the right resource group, this is the resource group. The name is the other one, so name of this vault is going to be this. Okay, and that is gonna be in here. East US is good. Azure Pass, I think everything else looks pretty good to me. So subscription of that, location, wait until the vault is provisioned. So now once as we have configured this, that's all you need. We really don't need to configure anything else. I'll just say create and review and then create. So it's gonna create my recovery services vault. So that's what typically you would use to back up your virtual machines and stuff like that. Okay, the other thing while its deployment is going on, if we look at, let me pull this window up. So if you look at over here, this deployment is most likely done for the virtual machine. It says it succeeded and it was deployed under this particular resource group, and we have admin, username, password, it's a Windows OS version 2016 data center, everything looks good. To validate that everything we have done properly, we can come over here. So 501, this is the resource group that we have created as part of the command, PowerShell command. So let's go in, which, it's not in there. Let me look at the resource group. It should be AZ3000601. So let's refresh. Let's just go to resource groups and take a look at it. AZ300, there is a resource group. I would expect to see one virtual machine in here. Let's see if I have any. And yes, there is my virtual machine that we have deployed from the template. And the other resource group that we created is this resource group, and we created a recovery service vault, and that's right here. Nothing is configured, by the way, in this vault, and you have to configure stuff like your backup, replicate, site recovery, you know, lots of stuff you need to configure, and we are going to do that portion of that lab in the next video. So for this video we have completed exercise 1, and what we did, we have deployed one virtual machine and we have created a recovery service vault that we can use to take backups, and if we need to move that virtual machine to some other place, we're going to use that. So with that, thank you for watching. If you're preparing for the exam, good luck, and we'll see you in the next video where we're going to migrate that virtual machine between Azure regions using the recovery site vault that we have created. Thank you. See ya.